Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the food enthusiast here at J More Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, and a frustrated baker. For those of you tuning in live, please feel free to enter any questions you may have in the comment sections, and we'll try to address them. As always, our show is up for as a video after the show has aired, both on Facebook and the jmoreliving.com's page. Uh, Today, Yogi, avid hiker, and cookbook authors, today's guest opens the door to tastier plant-based foods, especially for those who want more than energy bars on their hikes. Let's welcome Marty Cowan. And let me apologize, everybody. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, but we're back in, though I'm having trouble with my mouse, so I have to adjust that and do one thing here. Hi, Marty. What's on your page? What's on your plate today? I
Hi.
can't even talk.
Oh, no worries. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited here. So what's on my plate today? I've got some really fun things coming up. Next week, I'm going to be at a lovely winery in Loveland, Colorado, just down the road, for a women's wine down. I'll be signing books and giving away food samples. I have a half marathon coming up after that. And I also have a really exciting trip coming up in May. I will be um, cooking for a women's wellness retreat in a beautiful island super close to Charleston, South Carolina. So that's what's in the hopper right now.
Well, that's fabulous. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. You live a healthy health lifestyle. I think I lost you there.
Oh,
There you are. Okay. So again, people, she's in Colorado, you know, mountain highs, mountain lows, not the best connections. What can we say? Um, you're a former Baltimorean. You took your
yeah.
family to Colorado,
Yes.
and what made that change? Why from Baltimore to Colorado?
Well, my husband is in the construction industry. And so we got a call early on in 2017. And they said, "Hey, do you want to come out west? We've got an opportunity out here for you." And we just decided all the stars were aligned for so many reasons. And we said, hell yeah, let's do it. So we packed it up. And I think I cried for a month. I'm not kidding. We'd been in the Baltimore area. We lived in the city of Baltimore. We've lived in Howard County for a really long time, from basically for me from 94 until 2017. So a big part of my heart will always have Maryland in me. So we came out here and the great adventure began.
That's terrific. So everybody is plant-based in your family, or is your husband a carnivore? What goes on there?
No, I am sadly the only plant-based person in the family. I do have some go-to stuff that my family will eat, that they love, that it just happens to be plant-based, but they are all very much big. They love seafood. They love seafood. They miss the seafood from the East Coast. It's not the same out here, but they will eat stuff that I make, which is great. And it always brings me such joy. I actually made a curry one time and I called it Miracle Curry because everyone in my family ate it. So that was a
That
big,
was a miracle.
I've
That was a
gained
big
boy.
miracle. So, um, what is a day hiker? I'm going to show the book before I forget, and we
Oh,
sort of figured out I have to do it angled up so it doesn't have a glare. It's table to trail, and this
yeah.
is
So
book is about plant-based food for day hikers, but obviously adaptable for any situation if you want plant-based food. So, what is a day hiker?
Well, day hiker this is a pretty specific niche here. We've got outdoor recreation, plant-based dining, and specifically day hikers. And I really wanted to make a book about recipes for day hikers because it's my own personal joy that I love. And it's not it's not backpacking, it's not camping, it's specifically day hiking. So you can get a little bit fancier with day hiking. You can bring extra stuff along. You can have your pack can be just a little bit heavier. You're only going out for the day or part of the day, maybe even an hour. So I really wanted to create that specific area in cuisine because it's so important to me and I love it. So I wanted to contribute that
Right.
specific. Yeah.
Right. You're one of these people that your body is a temple. Yeah. Mine's some crappy restaurant around the corner, but yours is a temple. The yogi, being yoga and
Mm.
plant-based and hiking and into exercise. I'd like to quote somewhere in the book you said, outdoors is for everyone. And I think during COVID, more people became aware of that. Do you feel the same way?
Definitely. Trails were getting a lot more crowded. Trailhead parking was starting to become a problem, especially out here. And I'm sure really all over the country, people were deciding, since we're working from home, we have breaks, or I'm not working right now. And I think a lot of people retreated out to nature for various reasons. Sometimes, things were really hard, and retreating to nature really helps clear the mind. It helps make you, at least for me anyway, when I go out there, I realize, there's this big world out there. There's not just these four walls around me. So to go out there and just have that reminder, I think was really important. And then people really started realizing how important it is, I think, to their lives. And then you've got the whole van life going on, and people started to do that, and trail pictures exploding all over Instagram, even more so. Just not just I follow tons of people on Instagram, trail related things and food related things, but I feel like it really just exploded to such a wider audience, which is great.
Um, I got to stop these ums here.
I do the same thing.
In Table to Trail, you have suggested equipment. You have a suggested equipment and pantry list. Let me
Mhm.
ask you this: what three things in equipment and what three things in pantry are a must?
Okay, so let's start with gear for me. It's all everything always depends on how much time I have, what the climate is, where I'm going, what's accessible on the trail for me, if I've done the trail before. So I have to consider a lot of things when I'm out there. Are dogs allowed on the trail? Are there mountain bikers on the trail? Are there horses on the trail? So you just want to kind of get an idea. Okay, here's where I'm going, and this is what I'm going to need. Again, depending, climate is a big one. So let's just say it's right now, and I'm going to go out and I want to make a Buddha bowl. Let's just say I have this guy right here, and I love it. It's not insulated, but a day like today, I'm really not going to need it. And so I can just pop this open, and I use it for muesli too, breakfast stuff, but it's just a great little bowl, and it packs really well. You can just toss it in your backpack. I have another one. If you've ever have you heard of Swell Containers? There's bottles. They have metal bottles and different sizes and shapes and stuff. Anyway, this is the brand. I don't know if you can see it. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, Swell. It's like S apostrophe. Anyway, this is great too because they have these containers inside. So if I wanted to do like a yogurt with some seeds and nuts on top, maybe some oats, something like that, I can put that in there. I can put it in the fridge the night before. I grab it, throw it in, seal it, and just throw it in my bag. There's sometimes when I require maybe some cooling, or a gel pack, something like that, which might be necessary, might not. If I'm going up to Rocky Mountain National Park right now, I'm not going to need it because it's still pretty chilly up there, up at that elevation. So I don't have to worry about that. One more other thing I really love to use is this guy right here. The brand is 50-50, and it's really well insulated, like really well insulated. I've done tea. I've done what I call trail sipping soups in here, which are really brothy and easy to put in the container, and you can just kind of walk and sip, or you can take a sip,
Okay.
and that works out.
So is that a thermos or does it recognize cold and heat?
It recognizes both.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's equipment. Um, what three pantry items are a must?
Oh yeah, the three pantry items. I would have to say rolled oats are definitely one of my very favorite things. I use them all the time in all kinds of different things. They're gluten free, they're organic, they're wonderful. I get them in I have a huge container. The other thing I use a ton of is rice. I do love making, I love Indian dishes, for instance, so I'm using rice quite a bit, but I use it in other things too, soups and stews and stuff like that. And the other pantry item, is spices included in that? Because
Yeah, you can give that general. I'll give you
yeah,
that.
spice. Someone asked me one time. They said, "If your house was on fire, what would you take?" And I said, "I would grab all my spices for sure." And her answer was a Bible, and then I felt kind of bad about that.
We have a question or a
They're-
statement
I
here. Let's see.
worship them, so it's you know. Uh,
All right, let me see what this question is. I have a feeling you are far healthier than me, just out of curiosity. If you put health and wellness considerations aside, what is your most favorite glutinous gluttony type culinary treat?
Okay, so yes, I do eat pretty healthy. I do take care of myself pretty well, but I have to tell you, I'm a beer hound. I love beer. We have tons of breweries around here, and one of my favorite things to do in the entire world is to go on a really awesome hike and then end it at the brewery, all grubby and gross. I love it. So don't think perfect or anything like that because I'm not. I love friends and laughter and joy and the breweries just put all that together for me. It's such a great way to end a fabulous hike.
Now, interestingly enough, I saw that you suggested canned beans and dried beans. Now, canned beans, they have to be a little bit more selective because some are high in sodium. Is there a
Yeah,
particular brand?
yeah. I try to get the low sodium only because I like to control the salt in my food, and I do love salt. That was a great question that was just asked because salt is definitely one of my favorite things ever. Salt and olive oil. So, but yeah, I just I like to be able to control that. I do love the Goya organic for chickpeas. I make my turbo hummus, which is just my really super fast hummus. I have like a more complex hummus that I make that's a little more time consuming, but I do love to use dried beans and soak them overnight. And but there's times when you just can't do that. Like all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, I want to make black bean tortas tonight, so I'm gonna go for the black beans in the can. I just rinse them really well and use them. But the Goya organics, I think, are my favorite. I have another brand in there too. I don't know why it's not
Muir?
coming to me.
What, Muir? Was it Muir? Muir?
Oh, no,
Okay,
but I
never
know what
mind.
you're talking about. Those are really expensive.
Okay, so go out on a hike, a day hike, but you said it can be an hour. Maybe you're not packing a full meal.
Yeah.
So you're out on a hike. Ever get lost?
Yeah, I have definitely kind of lost my way a little bit. If I'm going on a hike that's further out and not one I've been to before, I have a group of ladies and we hike together. And they love having me along because I always bring food for everybody. But we try to be as prepared as humanly possible. There's definitely safety concerns when you go out. You don't want to get lost. You don't want to get lost. So you want to make sure that you are staying on trail and getting back. Sometimes I've gone back to the trailhead, not exactly how I got there, but I've gone back. But
Okay.
yeah, I usually bring some friends with me.
Okay. Now, in some of the things that people should be putting in their backpack, um, bear repellent. Have you had a bear or a lion incident at any time? Mountain lion?
Oh, but well, yes. And the interesting thing is the bear incident was not here. There is a beautiful hike. I would encourage anyone in the Baltimore area to make the trek to down in Virginia. It's called Old Rag. And it's a great hike. I think it's about 9 miles. It's a loop. It's beautiful. And we actually did see a mama bear and some cubs on that hike. So that was really fun. And we kept our distance supposed to, and we didn't have bear repellent. I would have bear repellent with me if I was up in Wyoming and maybe Montana hiking. Out here in Fort Collins, we have a lot of natural areas, and we also have a lot of city trails. So it's not super necessary to bring bear repellent with you on those types of trails. But if you're going to go out into one of the canyons, if you're going to go out off the grid, you're going to have to bring some stuff with you and make sure you're well prepared for that.
Okay. Is there a favorite trail meal?
Yeah, I guess it would depend on the year, what time of
A
year
season?
rather. Yeah, it's definitely a seasonal thing. Um, in the summertime, you know, it's nice to bring, stuff that's not like I would bring a gazpacho out on the trail. Definitely. That would be so refreshing and delicious. I love bringing salads out on the trail. Super fun. Buddha bowls are great too because they're wonderful room temperature. They're just delicious. So those kinds of things are really, really nice. And then I like to bring some comforting things in the winter and the fall, and depending on my mood and what's in season, what locally, things like that.
Right. So obviously these are geared from your book Table to Trail
Yeah.
for being out on the trail, but nothing says that they're not great snacks or edibles for you at any time. So I saw that you had a thing called coconut bacon. What is coconut bacon?
Coconut bacon is coconut of kind that's pretty wide and thin. You can get the shredded kind of coconut, which works too. That's a little more like, do you remember bacon bits? I don't even know if they sell those anymore,
Yes,
but
I
that's a
remember.
little like that. And then with coconut, do you guys have the Sprouts out there, the grocery store Sprouts?
Yes.
Think so. At least I think there's one around 40 now, but there is a wider cut coconut where you can put liquid smoke, aminos, and some other things together to really get that kind of smoky, bacony taste. And then spread it out on a pan and get it in the oven. And then you can top that. I actually have topped popcorn with it. You can put it on salads and on soups and things like that. And it adds a really big punch of flavor, just like bacon.
Okay, let's see. We have another question. I had relatives go out for a day hike, get lost, and were forced to overnight in a severe snow conditions. Fortunately, they had a few matches and enough food to get by. Do you recommend survival gear even for day hiking?
It would definitely depend on where you're going for sure. I keep it's like I think Malar blanket. I think it's like the silvery blankets.
Right.
I have my bag. Depends on where I'm going. You need a first aid kit, a whistle. I have something called a spot, which is we pay a monthly fee for it, and it is a satellite. Um, it's a satellite gadget where you can communicate. I can like say, "Hey, I'm okay," or "I need help," and it's a great thing to have for things just like that. When you go out and you're not prepared for what happens, or sometimes accidents can happen, things like that. Um, it's really good to have all those safety precautions in mind. And the first and foremost is tell a friend. If you're deciding you're going to start hiking and you're going to hike solo, you're going to be off the grid, things like that. There's a lot of precautions that should be taken. And first and foremost is tell someone where you're designate a person that you know, like you're going to be my hiking buddy, and you don't need to respond or anything. Like, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go out into the canyon. I'm doing Hewlett's Gulch. It's a 9 mile loop. I have food and water with me, and this is my license plate number, and this is when I plan on coming back. If you don't hear from me, go ahead and call my husband or call this person. So as long as you have that, and you don't need to do all that every time, but just the basic,
Tools.
just the,
Yeah.
the basic tool, the basic idea. You don't need to go through the whole entire thing, but they know your car license plate number at that point. So it's a good idea to have your hiking buddy.
Let me talk about some of the recipes in Table to Trail. Garden Trail muffin, around the
Yeah.
world fried rice, which leads into your spice passion because you have, well, you can do Indian, you can do this, it's broken down, it's quite
Yeah.
interesting. Peanut noodles with veggies,
Mhm.
and the one miso yoga pot. Now that you just showed the pot, what does that entail? The miso yoga pot. It's hard
Well,
to say real fast.
that's the very first, one of the very first meals I made for myself, when I decided in my late 30s. I'm 51 now. I'm almost 52. And so I've been plant-based for about 13 years. And there was a couple of things that I had that really gave me the confidence and cheered me on, like, Marty, you can do this. Because it is kind of daunting, to decide I figure out all these things from my diet and just make foods with plants. So the miso pot was a really, it's so healthy. I just feel so good after eating that because there's a beautiful broth, a beautiful miso broth with vegetables. It was a take on a yoga pot that I made quite some time ago, and just really healthy, comforting, and you just feel really good after eating it. At least I do anyway.
I don't have the recipe handy. Was that like a white miso or was it a darker miso that you use?
I've used both though. I use red or white. Red is
Okay.
a little little bit different, but I do use both.
I think the white is a little bit sweeter, isn't it?
Mm, I think so.
Red is a little bit more intense. I've sort of mixed them
Mm,
together in doing something.
yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking down the notes here. I saw that you're now working on a food memoir. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. That's another thing on my plate. I can't even remember if I told you about that, but yes, that's been an ongoing thing for the past like 6 months or so. I've been working on a cookbook, but it is a memoir-based cookbook. So it has been so fun to go down memory lane and relate memories with food, um, and either have a similar recipe or a take on that, or something I've completely, maybe something that was indulgent and not vegan, to change it into that. And that's also a really exciting thing to do. And it's the biggest victory ever when you can change a meal, make it kind of healthy, and still make it great.
Make it tasty, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're up to my four questions that I ask. All right. If you could give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
I would tell my 18-year-old self to not worry so much. Um, I would tell her, you are smart, you are capable, you don't need anybody else, um, and to just keep on going and keep that in mind.
Okay. You can wake up tomorrow morning and you have a new talent. What talent would that be?
I have always wanted to be able to sleep on an airplane. I've never been able to. and it would be the greatest thing ever and I would include that as a talent. I'm so jealous of people when I get on a plane, they just sit down and start sleeping. And I'm just, looking around. I
You're
just
left to
can't
hear
do.
them snoring.
Yeah.
You got to bring
I,
earplugs.
I
Earplugs.
on a plane, it would be the greatest ever.
Okay. Your most epic culinary fail.
Oh, wow. I have quite a few. I would say my biggest epic culinary fail was I was doing this hike out in the Big Thompson Canyon, and that road leads you up to Estes Park, if that gives you an idea. It's beautiful. And in the mouth of the canyon, there is a hike called Round Mountain. So my older son and I went. I packed a bag. I made this lovely Asian dish that I thought was going to be so awesome. And we went and did the trail. It was a 3,000-foot elevation gain, so it was a big trail. And I was huffing and puffing. I wasn't expecting it to be that hard. So I was getting kind of frustrated with that because there was a lot of elevation gain, loss, gain, loss. So I was kind of like, when are we going to get to the top here? So I was kind of like dealing with that. And then these women passed us, and it was like they were strolling in a grocery store. And I'm, on the side, I'm puffing, and I'm like, ugh. So I'm mad at them too. And then let's just eat. So I get these spring rolls out, and they just, I don't know why I don't know why I did. I really just thought it was going to be so much better than it was, and they weren't good at all. And fortunately, I brought strawberries too, and they were delicious. So I ate those. So my meal was bad. I was tired. I was crabby. And my son was like, "Come on, Mom, we can do this." So I'm the one that's supposed to be encouraging him, but here I am getting encouraged. Finally make it to the top. And we get up there to the summit and looking around, and it's just a flat forested area. I've never seen a summit like that. Normally you get up to the summit, it's glorious. There's mountains around, you look around, and you can see forever. And I looked at Clayton, and he looked at me. Is this the summit? And I was like, well, that's just great. That's just par for the course for this hike. And then we only stayed a few more minutes until I looked around, and then all of a sudden there was hundreds of butterflies, just hundreds. And I thought, wow. So my culinary fail ended with hundreds of butterflies. Nature is teaching me a lesson here.
Right.
It was beautiful. It was just beautiful, and we ended up, having a really good time. But I had a lot of lessons with me along the way.
And the final question is, what didn't I ask you that I should have?
Oh my gosh, I thought you were so thorough. Um, One thing I could say is whenever you decide to go out into nature, whether it's your park or a local hike or a big hike, um, make sure you pack everything back out with you. Um, Take all your trash with you. And if you can pick up a few more pieces along the way, that would be wonderful too. Just there's a saying that says, enjoy the journey, leave nothing behind. So I kind of take that with me when I go on hikes. And the other thing is trails are really meant to be for everyone, especially people with disabilities. Maybe they're, anything. So bring a big heart with you. Have a lot of compassion. Make room and just be patient and have fun.
Terrific, terrific. Everyone, Marty Cowan, her book, Table to Trail. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram under Table to Trail. And Marty, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Go out, have a wonderful hike this afternoon. I'm going
Thank
to stay in and promote the show.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. I'm going to come up with a couple of announcements. Marty was a pleasure, so I thank her very much. Next week's guest will be Shani Seidman of Keiko. They are a distributor of kosher foods, and Shani is the chief marketing officer for Keiko for brands like Tuscanini, Manischewitz, Heaven and Earth. And we're going to be talking new products. And there's new gluten-free matzah, chocolate covered with mint. It's a Girl Scout matzah. You'll enjoy it. So we're going to talk and maybe taste as I go along. And a couple weeks ago, I mentioned that here in Baltimore, Chef Ashish Alfred opened a new restaurant called No Way Rosé down in Federal Hill. And went last night, had the food, French inspired. The place is beautiful. If you're concerned, there's a parking lot just behind Cross Street on West Street. So you have that or street parking. And I think it's worth going. They do a Sunday brunch. Last week, I think they had acrobats along with it. They do not take reservations, so you want to get there early, possibly wait. We were there very early yesterday. By 7 o'clock, the restaurant had filled in. And let's see, another one. J More Living is hosting a program called Aging Gratefully. It's a free program, in-person event on Tuesday, April 26th at 5 p.m. at the Gordon Center for Performing Arts. Exhibitors will offer giveaways starting at 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Enjoy a moderated conversation, Aging with Gratitude, featuring experts on all aspects of aging. It isn't just for seniors. So bring your significant other, friends, and adult children and experience the benefits of, again, aging gratefully. You can register at jmoreliving.com/aging. And you can always reach me. My email is food@jmoreliving.com. My Instagram is @DaraCooks. So do give it a follow. The show's video will immediately be up on Facebook and J More Living's website. Thank you for watching and sharing the show with friends and family. Until next week, may your plates always, always remain full.